Hey, what's up everyone? It's your good friend Eric Thompson. This video is called Here's the Deal. I'm going to show you really simply what the proposed N.A.R. settlement means, what it means for buyers, what it means for sellers, what it means for real estate agents, and also I'm going to show you why headlines suggesting that this will cause house prices to fall are just not based in fact or reason or logic. All right, I'm going to walk you through that too. By the way, if we're just getting to know each other, this is my 30th year in real estate, and I've spent a lot of those years as a real estate agent myself, working directly with buyers and sellers, as a manager, as a leader, and now as a coach, right? So I'm now today a high performance coach for high performing realtors. I have a program called Thrive, which is a network of real estate agents from all across the country. And so this video is for my real estate agent friends as a way to help them to understand and also to help them to help their clients understand, right? A way to walk a client through what's happening with this proposed settlement that was just made by N.A.R. Okay, so let's dive in, shall we? Let's go. So here's the deal. So we're gonna start this really simple, really basic, really straightforward. We are gonna start with a house. Okay, so here's a house, and inside of this house is a seller. Okay, so there's our seller. So that's our seller living in this house. And over here, we have someone who wants to buy this house. So this is a buyer. So we have someone who wants to sell this house, the seller. We have the buyer who wants to buy this house. Now, what's really interesting about both of these people is that they face certain dynamics. And what's interesting is that they both face similar dynamics. There are 4 dynamics that both of them face as they're about to start this process of either selling or buying a house that are the exact same. All right, so let's look at what these two people, these two parties have in common as they are about to start a process of either selling a home or buying a home. All right, so dynamic number 1 that they both have in common is that they face a process that is very complicated. It is super complicated, as we all know, to buy or sell a home, right? There are a lot of documents, a lot of long documents, okay? There are lots of dates and deadlines that we need to track. There are a lot of people who are involved, right? So not just the buyer and the seller, not just the real estate agents, but also inspectors, appraisers, loan originators. We have homeowners associations, we have metro districts, we have local municipalities and their rules and regulations, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are a lot of moving pieces to a real estate transaction. It's super complicated, and both of these people know that. Second dynamic that they face, both of them, they face a process that's very risky, right? So number 1, there's a lot of money on the line. So if someone makes, say, a 10% mistake on a $400,000 property, by the way, that's about the average price of a home in the United States is about $400,000. So if either one of these people make a 10% mistake on a $400,000 property, that's a $40,000 mistake, right? So that's a lot of money, right? So there's a lot at risk. There's also a lot of litigation risk, right? If either one of these parties don't do things correctly, if they don't disclose things that they are supposed to disclose, right? If they get out of bounds, if they misstep, there's a lot of risk that is involved, and they both know that. The third dynamic that's interesting is that neither one of these people do this very often. Okay, so on average, a seller sells and a buyer buys only once every 10 years. So if it's been 10 years since this seller has sold or this buyer has bought, things were a whole lot different 10 years ago. The market was a whole lot different. The process was a whole lot different. Lending was a whole lot different 10 years ago. The documents were a whole lot different 10 years ago. Certain rules and regulations in place were a whole lot different 10 years ago. Okay, so this feels in a lot of ways, even though they've done this before, it can feel brand new because so much changes over that amount of time. I mean, the real estate changes really every day, let alone every 10 years. So they don't do this very often. So they are definitely not an expert at this. These are very smart people, but because it's been so long since they've done it, it's hard for them to feel like an expert at it. The fourth dynamic, I think, really is more impactful than the first 3, than the first 3 combined, and that is the fact that the real estate process, the real estate transaction, It's very emotional. It's super emotional, right? And they know that. And what's interesting to think about is that there are very few things in someone's life that's actually more emotional than the buying or selling of a home. Very few things. And what are those things? Well, they can be things like the birth of a child, the loss of a loved one, a marriage, a divorce, something big that happens in someone's business, maybe. But I think you get the point. There aren't many things, like it's a relatively short list of things that are actually more emotional than buying or selling a home. So let's look at this. Check this out. We have the buyer, we have the seller facing a process that's very complicated, that's super risky, that they don't do very often, that is also very emotional. And it's because of those reasons, both of these people want help, right? Generally speaking, both of these people want help. They want the help of a real estate agent, okay? They want help. And the research, the numbers back this up, right? It backs up that sellers, generally speaking, they want the help of a realtor. Buyers want the help of a realtor. Did you know that 90% of sellers who sell work with a real estate agent for help? Did you know that 89% of buyers who buy work with a real estate agent to get their help? So here's the thing. They face these four dynamics, and they also would rather not work with each other. They would rather not like be interacting directly with each other, generally speaking, because they know that's hard, right? The seller doesn't want to talk directly to the buyer. The buyer doesn't want to talk directly to the seller about tough things, about hard negotiations, about contentious items that always come up in a real estate transaction. They would rather have what? They'd rather have a buffer. They'd rather have someone advocating, negotiating on their behalf. They'd rather have that. They want a sounding board. They want someone to counsel with. They want someone who's a strategist through this, right? They want a guide. They want a leader. They want a coach. They want help, all right? So they want help, and the research backs that up, okay? So none of this is going to change, right? This dynamic here, this does not change even with the new rules in place. Okay, so let's look at how things have worked for a long, many years in the past. Here's how things have worked. Okay, so the seller has said, okay, working with that real estate agent, they've said, okay, we're going to have X% of the proceeds go over here to this real estate agent for helping me to be the one in charge of the sales and marketing and also the negotiation of this sale. Okay, so I need help with the marketing, with the sale, with negotiation. So I'm hiring this real estate agent to help me with that. And we're going to take part of this percent and we're going to allocate that over here, what's called a co-op commission, right? For this realtor, because they're the one with the buyer. We want to incent this real estate agent to bring us the buyer. We also want to incent this real estate agent to help this transaction get across the finish line, right? So this real estate agent will not be compensated until there actually is a successful closing. So we want this real estate agent managing this person or these people, right? This buyer, we want them managing the process. We want them making sure that the dates and deadlines are hit. We want them making sure that things are done correctly, that this is a smooth process that leads to a successful outcome, which both of these parties want, which is what? Which is a closing. Okay, so both of these parties bring value to the game, all right? Both of these parties bring value to these individual people, right? So this seller is saying, hey, this is going to be complicated, risky. I don't do this very often. Also, it's emotional. I need help, all right? So manage the process, manage this sale. This buyer says, hey, I need help. It's complicated, it's risky. I don't do it very often. It's emotional. Keep me on track. Keep me in line. Make sure we hit these dates and deadlines. Make sure I do this right. Make sure I pick the right property. Make sure I don't miss out on something. Let's help me to have a process to ensure that things aren't wrong with this property. I want help with all those things for all these reasons. I need help. Okay, so there is value that is exchanged between these two people, right? So they bring value and they get value. So here's what's changed in this proposed settlement, or here's what's proposed to change, is that this would go away. Okay, so there is no more direct communication direct clarity as to what this real estate agent would earn from this transaction, because how it has happened up until now, up until this, what's in the proposed settlement were to happen, what's happened is that this is advertised, this is communicated through the MLS, right? So the portion that would be allocated for this real estate agent can see that in the MLS. So when this real estate agent is doing all their research for this buyer to help find them the right property and researching different properties that they're going to go look at and consider, included in that research, they get to see in the MLS what this seller is offering for compensation. Well, that's going to go away. So what that means is that there's now going to be a direct conversation between this real estate agent and the buyer as to them getting paid. And also what this means is this real estate agent is going to be directly asking the seller to be compensated. Okay, so what's now going to happen is that this real estate agent is going to be setting expectations with this seller to say, hey, instead of the full amount being here, you need to expect, we need to be prepared for, this real estate agent is going to be asking for compensation, again, for all those same reasons, to help manage this person, to help hit the dates and deadlines, to have a successful outcome. All right, so, and to bring the buyer in the first place. All right, so you need to be prepared that they're going to ask for that in the offer itself. All right, and there's an expectation happening here between the real estate agent and buyer saying, hey, this is my fee. These are the things that I'm offering to you, buyer, that are all related here. I'm going to help you make a good decision, help you with research on the market, help you to be prepared, help you through this process, help you negotiate, help you to have a successful outcome. For that, this is my fee. We're going to ask the seller, and it may also become a combination of you compensating me as well, right? So this is my fee, and it might be some blend of the seller paying me and also the buyer paying me, right? So that's what's changed, right? That's the dynamic. That's the logistical part that's changed. But again, what hasn't changed is that this person needs help. The seller needs help for these clear particular reasons. This buyer needs help for those clear particular reasons. Okay, so none of that is changing. So let's now look at the headlines. The headlines are saying that because of this arrow going instead of here to here and also here, that prices are now going to drastically come down. Well, here's the deal, right? Here's the deal. What determines the price of a home? What determines really the price of anything? There are only two things that determine the price of anything, all right? I have a degree in economics, and you really don't need a degree in economics to know about these two things. By the way, these two things are not these two real estate agents, right? Those two things are supply and demand, right? Supply and demand set a market, right? So the price of this property is only based on supply and demand. How much demand is there in the market? And yeah, sometimes demand is fueled by interest rates, right? How much supply is there in the market? Is this a rare, unique, one-of-a-kind property, or is it just one of many, many, many that are on the market, right? That was the story of 2008, right? There was a glut of supply on the market that caused prices to come down. That's why prices came down, did what they did in 2008, 9, 10. There was an oversupply. There was weak demand. Today, we have very limited supply, and we actually have fairly strong demand, not the demand of what it was in 2021, but fairly strong demand, even given a higher interest rate. So that's why prices keep going up. So those are the two things that set prices, supply and demand. These are not the two things that set prices, these two real estate agents. So does this arrow going from here to here change prices? It does not change prices, okay? So for my real estate agent friends, just remember what has not changed. This whole dynamic has not changed. They need your help. For potential real estate clients out there thinking about buying or selling, just understand this logistical change, but understand that these real estate agents are still bringing a whole lot of value to you, still bringing a lot to the game, and they are now even better at articulating their value, but they've always been really good at explaining what they offer you, what they bring to the game, and how their compensation is going to work, and they will help you. They will absolutely help you. So hey, I hope that this video was helpful. I so appreciate you watching it. And for my real estate agent friends, just get out there, keep helping, right? Just keep helping people, because my goodness, people need help right now. They need help for these reasons. Okay, thanks again for watching the video. Have a terrific day. We'll see you soon.